When you play the Game of Thrones, you
subscribe and like,
or you die. There is no middle ground.
Alright, hello YouTube, welcome back to the Rescom YouTube channel. Today's video, we are going to be talking about House Frey. Again, very similar format for the Bolton video we did on Friday, and also the Jon Snow video that I did last week. We'll be taking some of your guys' questions, topics, and we'll kind of guide the discussion for today's prediction video and all of that. Again, I will say sorry for any comments or topics that I missed in the previous video, or maybe hopefully I didn't miss any in today's. But, you know, YouTube likes to hide comments, and I don't realize that things weren't showing up on my posts until after I've already edited the video. So, yeah, hopefully, you know, that doesn't happen. But again, I would definitely follow the Instagram as I put out, actual story and posts, and those I will all guarantee to see. So, you know, if you want to be more involved with these videos, I would follow over there. Link will be in the description, and all of that. So, let's get into the video, and let's talk House Frey and the Winds of Winter. So again, we're going to divide this video into a couple parts, but the first part is going to be some of the background before the Revenge Red Wedding. Again, I am a very hard believer on this theory, so that's going to kind of guide where this video is going to go for me. But this comment comes from Leo Messer. Do you think Black Walder will be a semi-important character who kind of hurts the Freys? To a degree, yes. But at the same time, I think Black Walder is going to be another character that, because of this Revenge Red Wedding, he's going to be gone. I don't see him surviving much longer in the series, and so I don't really think he'll be that important, but maybe he'll have still some minor roles that he does before the outcome of this Frey Civil War. We already know Black Walder has probably been involved with killing of some other Freys, so yeah, maybe he could still take some people out before we see, I wouldn't say the complete downfall of House Frey, but them losing a lot of family members. Moving on, we have Ivan Bluecool. Will the community remember the Frey members that actually liked the Starks? The wife of Kat's brother, Robb Squire, and so on. They can easily be a good Frey faction. Yeah, so the thing with this is, I think, yes, we will have to, I think it's Oliver Frey, who is going to be a squire for Robb, who's not present at the Red Wedding. It's kind of some of the foreshadowing for the Red Wedding, because there's a lot of Freys that are more sympathetic towards Robb because they are not there. There's another Frey, I don't remember if it's Perwyn Frey, who is with Catelyn when they go to Renly's camp and is escorting her, and the two actually have a fairly good relationship. He is also not at the Red Wedding, somebody that Cat wanted to see. So yeah, again, I think we will see a few of these people. The problem is going to be, though, the one thing that I think we'll see with the Revenge Red Wedding that's going to really make it not as glorified, right? George is not glorifying death, war, and these tragic events. And so I think we're going to sit here and we're going to see, you know, when we get to the Revenge Red Wedding, and I'll talk about it, a lot of these people that we may know and remember from, you know, older books, they may die brutally. And you're going to be sitting here going, this is not what I wanted. Yes, you know, we wanted some justice and maybe even vengeance for the Starks and for Catelyn, but this is not the way we wanted to do it. You know, there's a lot of innocents being killed, people that really had no real involvement in the Red Wedding being killed. And I think another thing to think about, it's if you're a random soldier for the Frey house, you're being told to do this, right? It's not like it's your choice. It's either you do this or, you know, you're kicked out of the army. You maybe are imprisoned for treason, all these things. So to me, I think we're going to see kind of a reverse of that, where yes, we'll get some, you know, justice and revenge for some of our characters, but others, it's going to feel very unjustified. Otto WW289 asks, you think there's any chance we will be introduced to a Frey that's actually a nice person? So like I just talked about, this goes really well with the last topic and question that I just answered, is that there actually are quite a couple Freys that that are pretty cool. We see a lot of those that were sympathetic with, again, Robb's camp. There's a little bit of in the next question, we're going to talk about the Rosby Freys. They're actually a pretty good faction within the Freys. So again, not all Freys are bad. It's just the bad Freys are very much amplified in the story. Mystery Junkie 9808, again, talking about the Rosby Freys, asks, will the Rosby Freys be given Rosby in Winds of Winter? Perwyn Frey, through his mother, has the best claim to it, and a lot of the lower Freys are looking for a way out of the twins before Walder dies. He wasn't present at the Red Wedding, though the Lannisters like him. He's a decent man and a good knight. Rosby's storyline seems to be headed towards this. So, I think it's possible. I just think the big problem is, like I talked about in, one of the last questions, is someone like Perwyn Frey is going to be like the perfect target for George to show in this Red Wedding that this is not good. We shouldn't be slaughtering people, continuing this cycle of violence and the negative effects it's going to have on Westeros. I think he could be a prime target for this. I tried to do some research to figure out where he is at this time, and I believe he's still at the twins. So that's not a good look, right? Because that means probably he's going to be at this Frey wedding, and that is probably not going to be a good outcome. Maybe he could survive. It's possible, but I do think he is a likely candidate to kind of fulfill what George wants to show. I think one of the best discussions I've had on this topic, again, a video that's still up, not on my channel, but on Voice of Old Town's channel, is when we were talking about all of the characters of Winds of Winter. When we got to this point, he really talked about this heavily because it's something that like House of the Dragon kind of messed up with, like glorifying death and violence. That's not something George does. George actually does quite the opposite. That's what a lot about the Riverlands plot is about, whether that's through Brienne, whether that's through Arya. And that's something I think, Perwyn Frey would be a great candidate to really show that whole idea. But moving on, we have Igor Briskin 7746, who says, Frey Civil War, who leads sides after Walder dies? Who else is likely to be killed? Black Walder to make war worse. So my thing with the Frey Civil War is I like the theory and I like the ideas because it's been hinted at quite a lot, but do we have time for a Frey Civil War is my question. Because when we see this Revenge Red Wedding happen, most of the big Freys are going to be killed, right? A lot of these Freys are going to be all in one place. I would not expect many of them to be getting out of this. Or again, it's the same situation as the Red Wedding. You're going to have a bunch of Freys that are going to be getting very drunk, who are going to be off their guard, and you're going to have a force that is going to be led by a very war-hardened group of men who have been fighting the entire time through this war. And so I look at this and I go, I do not expect to see enough Freys being alive to even have a civil war. Now, I don't think the Freys, again, we'll talk about this when we get to kind of how I see House Frey going, but I don't think all the Freys are going to die off. There's just too many Freys. They just keep repopulating. They're probably one of the most populous houses in Westeros. Someone's going to have a claim to the twins, unless the twins is taken down, which again, I very much doubt, given the fact that the twins is such a vital part of the geography of the Riverlands and the Trident specifically. I think at worst, what you could see is that the Freys are disinherited from the twins. The Tullys reinstate someone else is in charge of the twins, but even then, I'm not sure if Edmure would do that, given his wife, Rosalind, is a Frey. And so maybe you could see something where, one of their children, right, end up taking control of the twins. And for, maybe that, 15, 20-year period where you're waiting for one of their children to come to age, you have a Castellan, someone that Edmure trusts to rule over the twins for that amount of time. And then you can kind of have the restoration of House Frey through, again, Edmure and Rosalind's children. And that will kind of lead us into the Revenge Red Wedding. Mr. James Abir, hopefully, I'm not great on pronunciation, but hopefully I said that right. Can't think of much questions. Lord Frey, how soon will he die in Winds? The moment he dies, House Frey will fall quick. I bet he dies in the prologue with news being heard with Jane Poole's party. I kind of doubt it, just based upon the fact that how Walder Frey to me is a character that I think it would maybe not feel, I don't know if I would say it feels cheap if Walder Frey died like that, like he had like a heart attack or some sort of reaction, and it wasn't any real tie-in to the Tully plot at all. It would really feel kind of weird to me. So I don't really like that idea for me. And I also don't think Walder Frey is going to die like that quickly. I think, again, he'll die within, I think, the first third of this book once the Revenge of the Red Wedding happens. But that, to me, will be kind of how that goes. And also, I don't think House Frey is going to fall. Again, I think that that's completely up to the Tullys what they want to do with that. But for me, I don't think they're all going to die or anything like that. Avery Gummercell says, if not all, which of the Freys involved in the first Red Wedding will be killed in the Red Wedding 2.0? I think all of them will. Like, I think all of the major people that were involved with that event will be dead. I just think, again, they're going to be some of the major Freys. They're not going to last. They're going to all be at this Revenge Red Wedding, and they'll all die. Also, do you think they will be betrayed by the Northern Lords? So again, talking about the Freys up in the north, yes, they 100% will. None of the Northern Lords like them outside of maybe the Boltons. That's just because the Boltons need them. Even the people that are on Bolton's side don't particularly like the Freys. So again, I think the Freys are obviously going to get butchered in the north. I think Stannis will be the one to do it with the Manderly's help. But yeah, Edwin Brown 717 has a longer statement, but how do you feel about the Frey Civil War theory? Basically that they are all at each other's throats, and many are desperate to move up in succession or at least make sure that they are in the clear should anything happen to Walder. That's why so many of them are trying to be useful during the Red Wedding, because they are afraid of what will happen should Walder die. Lady Stoneheart and the Brotherhood could also play a part in making all this worse for the Freys as well. I think it's interesting how the Freys, Lannisters, and Boltons all made their short-term gains based on heinous acts against the social contract of Westeros. All of them are likely to implode from the inside and will pay the full measure for their brutality and treachery. So I thought the end part of your little paragraph here was actually extremely interesting. The actions that were committed at the Red Wedding were terrible. And was it short-term thinking? Yes and no, right? Because if Tywin was alive, it was fair game, right? Because Tywin was going to pretty much unite all the rest of the realm together. And so this wouldn't have been that big of a deal in the short term. But in the long term, once Tywin died, once Walder would have died, once Roose would have died, this stuff wouldn't have been forgotten. Eventually, you would have seen those uprisings take place anyway. And so I definitely like that idea that this was really, a short-term act that, it made sense why they all did it. Again, how are you going to kill Robb if he goes back up north, right? He's going to be significantly more difficult to kill, and it ends the war here, really. And so I agree with that part of it. But going back up to kind of the main statement you have here is Frey Civil War. I kind of already talked about it, so I'll only really talk about it here for a little bit. But again, I don't really think it's going to play too big of a role. We just don't have time to focus on something like that for that long. But yeah, I think Lady Stoneheart will be the main reason, along with the Brotherhood, maybe even the Blackfish, as to why the Freys maybe have a fall from grace. Matthew James Hagen asks, are they all going to die? Not all of them. I think some of them, a lot of the major ones will, but I do think House Frey will live on. Luminous Agnesia. Hopefully I said that right. I don't think so. 372 says, do you think the Freys in the north are doomed to die? Also, what are your thoughts on the Frey Wedding being a parallel to the Red Wedding and Winds? Do you believe we will see this righteous justice best boy Robb deserves? So, yeah, the Freys in the north are fucked. I mean, they're all gonna die. I don't see any way they escape the north. But the parallels between the Frey Wedding and the Red Wedding are very apparent, right? It's this wedding that it just seems like there's an eerie feeling around it. The way that the rebellion against the Freys is growing and growing, and it seems like the Freys are becoming more divided, having less power. Yeah, I definitely see this playing out. Now, the point that's very interesting here is, will we see righteous justice? No, this is not going to be justice, right? The people that are responsible are not the only people going to be killed at this wedding, right? There's going to be people that had nothing to do with the Red Wedding. There's going to be people that even liked Robb probably being killed. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a spin on that idea of, oh, yeah, we're going to get justice and, revenge on the people that actually did the wronging. Transformer Stop Motion BR 2972 asks, which Freys are less likely to die in Winds? I mean, any Freys that are just not at this wedding. I mean, that's the simple answer. I think if you're a Frey and you're at this wedding, it's going to be very difficult for you to survive. So I can't really make an accurate prediction, but I would say any Freys that really are not going to be at this wedding. Ryan O'Reilly 561 says, will there be a slaughter of them by the Brotherhood? I feel like with the series winding down, the Frey storyline should really end soon. Yeah, I completely agree. We do not have time for this Frey plot line to continue. We need to get this all wrapped up. Again, we're going to be seeing the others probably break through the wall at this point in this story, we've got the North probably going to be retreating to the South. This needs to be resolved fairly quickly within wins, in my opinion. And so, yeah, I think it's going to feel, I think this is the key term, right? Ryan kind of terms it as a slaughter, whereas when we look at the above, it was justice, right? That's the difference. And I think it will be a slaughter, like how Ryan worded this. Hari Krishnan says, how many of his children or grandchildren will Walder have to eat? I don't think he will eat any. I know the show, went that whole route of feeding, some of Walder's kids to him. Personally, don't see that happening in the story. I think Arya is going to be someone that kind of comes in at the end. I think it's going to be another big parallel. If you think about the Red Wedding, where Arya gets there, but it's too late. It's going to kind of feel like that again, I think, where Arya arrives and it's too late to stop any of this slaughter, but, she meets her mother. And that's where I think the Stoneheart plot will end, with Arya kind of killing her mother. But yeah, I don't think we'll see, him eating any of his children. History on TV says, what will happen to Raymond Fry? So Raymond Fry is the guy that slits Catelyn's throat. I think he's fucked. He's going to die. I could see it even being in another parallel where we see, Lady Stoneheart has someone slaughter Raymond Fry, very similar to the way she was killed. Could see a nice, interesting parallel like that. Porkis asks, what is Big Walter's fate in the North? He is going to die. Again, any Freys in the North are doomed to die. So that is our Frey kind of predictions discussion video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Again, I think pretty straightforward, right? The Frey plot, in my opinion, is not as complex as, say, the Bolton plot. For me personally, just based upon, I think the Frey plot is very straightforward. Either way, if you think it's going to be a civil war, it's going to be Stoneheart killing them, they're all going to have to maybe not die, but a lot of them are going to have to be weakened to a point where the Riverlands is reunified through the Tullys. So, yeah, thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye, guys.